Did y'all ever have any conflict with the City Stones?
Actually, the Geer Gangs actually never had conflict with the City Stones because they was on one side of Adams and we was on another. But what it was, me and my brother personally had conflict with the City Stones.
For the dime moves and the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole, for the homegirls with the scrap game, little homies that gang bang, from Pelican Bay to YA, rearrange your mind frame. Yeah, I know what you been through, shit you had to go tend to. Your mama gave birth on the turf, I know them killers you kin to. This for the lost generation, broke as hell, mad and impatient.
I created Conan Pocket in my mother's garage.
I had a lot of, lifting weights, and I was on swole. They start calling me Big Miz.
Original Stutter Box, Eastside 5, who's Pavlo Bishop, Mill City Gangster Bloods.
Kev Mac video, you know, this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul.
This is only the beginning.
You know, because like I say, when we lived over there, they were cool with us too, because they wasn't all the way full-fledged like that either. They wasn't all the way full-fledged. So they was who they were. And I believe my brother came home again one day and got me said that they was around the Second Ave Park. And he said they did something to him or something. We had to go around there and take care of our business at the park. but things, it was crazy then.
When you guys was into it with the Shorelines, did you guys go to Venice Beach?
Did we go to Venice Beach? Of course. Actually, during the conflict with us and the Venice Shorelines, we've had fights with them dudes on the beach. You know, we done traded a few weeks off with them dudes. They didn't run us up out of Venice and we didn't run them off the beach too. You know, they done brought their whole hood and came to Venice because we was up there. There was a big something and they have at us, and then we come back with our whole neighborhood the next week and it was on up at Venice. So, you know, it didn't went back and forth. We love them cats now to this day though, man. You know, they my family now to this day.
Yeah, same with us, but they sure defended that beach, boy.
Yeah, they really did. They defend their beach, and I respect them, you know. But like I said, it wasn't but real one gang that we can say that was partners with us sincerely under the same alliance that we under, and that is the West Boulevards. And push come to shove, we'll never be no trays or we was the only two gangs from the west side that fought the whole Crips and Bloods on that deep west. The West Boulevards and the Geer Gangs is the only two gangs that then took on the whole deep west. We had it the hardest out of everybody. Everybody else got along.
I want to know about the 18th Streets.
Yes, sir.
When did you become aware of the 18s in Geer Hood?
Man, when I moved to Geer Hood, I had a lot of love and still got a lot of love for Rooster, Thumper, Bosco. Man, it goes on and on. Lucky, man, it just goes Sapo. It just goes on and on. I grew up with all them dudes. We share the same hood, man. Know their mamas and sisters and brothers and their whole families. I love the 18s, man. You know, I hate that it happened like this here. You know, with us both, man. Because, you know, I hate that these youngsters got it like this. The alliance has changed.
Can you break down for me the West Side 18, the Smiley Drive and Alsace? Like, which was first, or any of them branches off the other?
Well, really, who really came first? Who really came first that really got a street? They really got the street that was an 18. It was already 18. Rooster was really the main, biggest 18th in our hood that the Geer Gangs actually can say that had the stripe with the blacks. It was Rooster. Big Rooster from 18th Street was so cool with us. was with us every day. We all flocked together every day. He was at our houses, dealt with our mamas, you know, got high with us. Rooster did everything, man. He was family. So, but how the 18s, when they got their first spot in our neighborhood, we actually allowed them to have that spot because they really didn't have nowhere to hang out, and that was on Smiley and Hauser. After DeSola and Bert Train them from Third World moved off of Smiley and Hauser, that's when the 18s got their first spot. But they never really had no one Pacific spot in the neighborhood until Smiley Drive came. Now, Alsace, you had a dude named 18th Street that was highly respected that I love, who is Benny. 18th Street Benny had the gray and purple bomb.
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, he lived on Alsace. He lived on Alsace in West Haven.
Can you put a year on Smiley Drive in Alsace?
I can put a year on Smiley Drive. Happened. The 18th Street with Smiley Drive happened when Bert Train and DeSola moved, and Whitey them left. So that had to be like 81.
And Alsace popped up when?
Alsace, see, like I say, Benny them been living on Alsace all his life. His daddy them, and what he did is Benny was one of their main hitters. And by his mom and them live, then he started catching a bag too, because there was so much money around, and he was one of their main ones that was catching the bag over there. So they gave him Alsace. But they never hung on Alsace like that. Ain't no 18s never mounted up and just hung out on Alsace. That's never happened. Benny lived on Alsace, and he had work and he was doing his thing. He was one of their hitters, just like Thumper and all them was, but the 18th was on Smiley. And they lived all through the neighborhood like we did, but they only hung out on Smiley. They didn't have certain like Homeside and Blackwelder and Geer and Carlin. They didn't have no spots and all that where they all hang. Hell no. They only had one corner.
Was Rancho Park coming over there before you guys fell out?
Rancho Park, we never had no beef until Rancho Park is part of the beef. What happened is Rancho Park, 18th Street fell in and got in an issue with the Blackstones up at the park or something. Something happened. And they started beefing. And the Ranchos got run out of Rancho Park, apparently. So they start hanging in Smiley Drive. They start hanging over there with the Smiley Drive because it got tight for them. And one thing led to another. But we never really had no beef with the 18s that's over there, the Smiley Drive. Who we got the beef with and who came over there and did what they did was the Ranchos. It's the Rancho that but we ain't really, never really, man, we got love for the Smiley Drive 18s to this day. I believe if a Smiley Drive seen a Geer Gang, he ain't finna just try to kill him. Those are the Ranchos and those other dudes, MacArthur Park and all the kind of other stuff, man. What's going to eventually have to happen is what needs to happen is just that, we just need to, they G's and our G's need to sit down instead of trying to give them time and allow them to talk, because their youngsters and our youngsters just ain't seeing eye to eye to come to some kind of agreement. And it's just cut from another cloth now. These cats is cut from another cloth, and like I say, the alliance has changed. Everything is about feelings over facts, and that ain't cool.
All right, I gotta ask you, man, with your parents' background, you ever try to sing or rap or get into the industry?
No, I've always tried to be a participant in whatever my mother needed me to do for her label, and if I had anything that I wanted to do and that I want to do for us entertainment, I'm open for stand-up, and I'm just into trying to write a book right now.
What is your book based on?
My book is based on my autobiography and where I've been and about my neighborhood and just the things that I have been through and how the West was really won.
Well, you know, whenever you get that book together, you can always advertise it right here, man.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. You got any background in martial arts or boxing?
Well, I got a lot of background I got a little background in boxing and a lot of background in boxing. My whole family been involved with boxing. Boxing is my passion. Just sports is my love, and boxing is my passion. That's what I love. I spend a lot of time watching it, paying attention to it. It's just a part of me.
You know any famous boxers?
I know a lot of famous boxers, and I have family that won belts. I got 2 ex-world champions in my family. Rockin' Robbie Sims was a middleweight champion of the world, and Mr. Marvelous Marvin Hagler. They both was middleweight champions of the world.
Mm.
I also was trained by Johnny Ortega, which you trained Little Danny Red Lopez. He was involved a lot with Alexis Arguello career. Actually, I boxed down there on Main Street, the Main Street Gym on 5th and Main during the 70s into the 80s. I lived it down the street on Adams. My mother introduced me to Sugar Ray Robinson. He became an idol of mine in my early days. During the time that I was boxing, I spent time with him. My mother would just drop me off at his house sometime. I would see him outside in the front. We would be driving by. My mother introduced me to him one day at a grocery store. And she told him how I felt about boxing. And I was interested, and that's what I was doing. So he told her he would spend some time with me. And so I would just see him one day, because he lived about 3 or 4 blocks from us. And my mother, we would be driving by, and she would see me and drop him. He would be coming home from the store trying to empty his car with a car full of groceries. My mama would tell me to get out and go help him. Next thing I know, he got me in the garage, knocking the dust off of belts and trophies, and you know, he did spend time with me, showing me fundamentals, but he mostly spent more time and was on me about conditioning. He was a conditioning man. He was more into conditioning first. I guess that's who made Sugar Ray Robinson. That's why he was the man that he was. That's why he was Sugar, because he was able to be ahead. That's how you're able to be ahead, is conditioning. And that's what he was ahead of everybody with at that time.
Good shit. Earlier you mentioned Moms and Bootsy Collins.
Yeah, actually Bootsy Collins. My mother, Gloria Ann Taylor, and my father actually formed a band called the Guest House Band. And when they formed that band, the Guest House Band, it was Bootsy Collins and his brother and a lot of other artists that was from Ohio. Actually, Bootsy is from the Guest House Band, and he is a part of my mother's. That was his first band that he probably was ever in, that I know of. And I want to give my props to Bootsy. I haven't talked to him. I talked to him online on Facebook since my mother passed away in 2017. And, you know, he gave his condolences to me, and we talked, but we didn't talk long. And I haven't heard from him since. Actually, I've given my Facebook and social media contacts up since my mother's passed.
Yeah, I gave my Facebook up too. Tell me the relationships, good or bad, with Playboy Gangsters.
From when it first started with us, we was all cool. We all got along, man. We got along with the Marvins. We got along with the Playboys. We got along with the whole West Side. Got along at first, because we was dancers. We wasn't gangbangers back then. We was dancers. You had like the Playboy dancers, Rolls Royce dancers. That was us. Disco Lockers was the Marvin's. Then you had the Sharps, was the schoolyards, and coming from the Midtown area, the Sharps. And then you had the Electric Boogaloos. I think them was the West Boulevards. And you had the Starlights. I think them was girls.
Motor Booty.
Motor Booties. Yeah, they was around. Yeah, the Motor Booties. Them was some West Boulevard girls too.
And schoolyard girls.
And schoolyard girls. Yeah, and blood girls. That was all a variety of all of them.
They all wind up, when they broke up, they all wind up going in different ways.
Different neighborhoods. Real talk. And then the good part about all this stuff is it was dance contests, literally dance contests every Friday and Saturday night. If it wasn't up at the Disco Train right there on Adams and Rimpau, it would be up at the workshop at 81st and Western. See, I used to take my mama car in '79. I wasn't but 12. I would take my mama's station wagon and drive to at night and learn. I taught myself how to drive. That's how I learned how to drive first. And then I started taking the car and going to the workshop and driving to the workshop
81st and Western.
Over on 81st and Western. We would catch the bus down to on Adams down to the Disco Train, you know. But Big Ice would come get me. And man, we had a cool little upbringing. When it come to being a part of the hood, I wouldn't turn that down for nothing. I love where I came from. And I started. When I first started hanging with Ice, because Ice was originally from Raymond, you know, and then I was running with Ice. He was from Raymond Crip back then, and I called myself trying to be from Raymond. And then I used to run with X-Ray from 107. A young X-Ray, a little X-Ray, and I call myself trying to be from 107 from hanging with him. But at the end of the day, I was never from neither one of them. I just was infatuated with them cats because them was my partners. And you know, next thing I know, me and Ice hanging, and we in the hood. And then next thing I know, my mama sent me back to Ohio, because I started banging the hood real heavy, and I went down to Toledo, Ohio, back in '79. And next thing I know, we got our big old OG homeboy in Toledo, Ohio. We call him Fonzarelli. You know what I'm saying? That was one of my partners that from A Deuce, Day Deuce. You know, when I was dancing and all that little stuff, and people don't really know nothing about all that, but Toledo, you know, Scott High, and I'm talking about Toledo because Toledo is a part of our history too. You can't forget Toledo. You can't X out all the other cities that was influenced by us. Like I said earlier, I wanted to give a shout out to all my homies from LA, and then I want to give a major shout out to all the homies from Montebello and Colorado. And I want to give a major shout out to all my homies from the youngest to the oldest from Toledo, Ohio. You know, and at the same time, I want to give a major shout out to all the homies in New York. You know, but me and G, keeping it 100, yeah, we was a major part of this, y'all. And when it come to our neighborhood, we was a major, huge influence. You know, and you can ask me any kind of questions. I can give you any kind of answer. I can give you the right answer to the very exact answer, whatever you need to anything that got to do with the hood. You know, you can ask me right now when it comes to gear. You can get any answer you need, Kev.
Tell me about World on Wheels. Did y'all participate?
Shoot, I brought the homies together I was the one that brought us together. At first was going through a little beef with the schoolyards, and then I ran into them up at ABC's, and this was like 1980, right when they first opened World on Wheels. I ran into Big Blue, Lil Blue, and all of them, all them riders. The whole crew, all knuckleheads. I ran into them, and they surrounded me, and they was like, "Where you from?" And I told them I'm from Geer, and they was like, "Well, cuz, tell your homies come on to the skating ring, man, and hang with us, man, chill with us." And then we got back together. But originally, how we had the beef, how it started with the yards at first when we back in the days, is when our homies had shot one of the homies from the yard in the back.
In the dancer days, not in the
dancer days, not in the gangbanging days, in the dancer days. And one of our homies shot one of their homies in the back with a shotgun, and which ended up being one of our little homies and our little homegirl, big brother, and that's how the beef had started. But once we had cleared all that shit up, let's let bygones be bygones. And we just I always was close. I ain't never had no problem with the mob. I always SYC mob. I was cool with them cats. I ain't never had no problem with them. But anyway, going back to let me share something what you did with this. Don't nobody. I know this is where the beef come with the PBGs and the Marvins. First off, with the Marvins, we was Rolls Royce dancers. They was disco lockers. We formed Geer. They formed Marvin. Our neighborhood is originally Harlem Godfather. Put both of us together, that's all Harlem Godfather. But once we got into it, we split up. One half took the half of the freeway, and the other half took the other side of the half of the freeway. They took the side from Fairfax and Washington all the way to La Brea, and we took the side from Adams and Fairfax all the way to La Brea. But and at the same time, I want to say something about these West Boulevards. Them my niggas, man. Them niggas helped started us. You can't never ever forget that. We deuces because of them. And I'm happy.
They was our big brothers.
They was our big brothers. They was them was a lot of them niggas I looked up to, man. And you know, we went through the struggle with them too. We went through the struggle, but at the same time, at the end of the day, they're my biggest influence. They the reasons why we deuces.
And we need our little homies to understand that.
And you got to remember that. That's the reason.
Both sides.
That's the reason why I really got caught up too, because I was hanging with the West Boulevards real heavy. I was hanging with the Deuce car. You know, I was hanging with the Deuces real heavy. I was infatuated with the Deuce. So the West Boulevards was on one. And I was loving that shit, so I was following and tagging along. You know what I'm saying? And,
I was running with them. I was running with the West Boulevards.
You know, so
before Geer even came out, my brother I was with them dudes every day, man. I went with the West Boulevard and lived on West Boulevard. I love the West Boulevard. Before I was a Geer, I was running with them. I was never from West Boulevard, but I ran with them. Cause I ran with the best crew. They was the biggest and the baddest on that side of the town.
On me.
And they was the biggest influence on me. And they was sharp then.
Yeah, man.
And I'm not finna take that from them.
You can't take that.
And I give my utmost to the Deuces, West Boulevard.
Yeah, man. I get that up all day long. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, but going back to now getting on this on with the Marvins. Okay, we at the theater, the homies at the movies and all this going on, and somebody called one of the homies Gilligan. And when they called one of the homies Gilligan, everybody got mad about that. So now the homies mount up and head over there and go to fighting the Marvins. This is it jumped just like that. Next thing I know, it escalated. And when it escalated. So now Marvin's is pushing their trades. They doing their thug. Gears is pushing we pushing our we deucing. And that's how that jumped off. But then what happened is, me and my brother was back then. This is 1979, 1980, 79, end at 79, beginning of 80. Okay, me and my brother stayed over there in the PBGs. So I grew up with all the originals. You know, I'm gonna keep.
We grew up with all the originals.
Yeah, we grew up with all the originals. So I'm trying to.
Jesse James.
I grew up with we grew up with all the originals. So my point I'm saying is, we got to going over there. I'm pulling up in my Riviera. Back then I was 13 years old. I bought a 1963 Buick Riviera, and so now I got the shotgun that I bought from Sabu from Harlem, because that was my nigga Sabu, original Harlem Crip, Sabu. Anyway, my nigga Sabu, he sold in Ether. Remember Ether? Okay, Sabu and Ether. Okay, we in the jungles, man. We was staying in the jungles back then, and that's when I met them cats, and them cats turned out to be a lifetime partners of mine since A1 day one. So anyway, I went to Sabu, and I bought a shotgun from Sabu, and I bought a brand spanking new 25 from out the hood. I ain't finna go that route with that one. I know where I got that one from. But anyway, so we going back and forth in the PBGs. We chilling with the PBG. So one day I go over there, and I get in a fight with they do a roll call with me in the alley in the Charities. They say, well, such and such. Where you from? He say, yeah, I'm from PBG. I'm such. And then someday when it got to me, they said, Ed, where you from? I said, I'm Ed Dog from Geer Gang Crips. And my nigga Dusty, Playboy Gangsters, don't feed me. Bam! Then Scooby, I get to get the best of Dusty, and Scooby get at me. Damn, now Scooby dope for you. Now I'm boxing with both of them. So I get mad. I go over on Bedford and I go get Safety, the homeboy Safety from one of the Bedford boys. And I come back and Tony T, he say, hell no, man. Yeah, man, y'all quit that shit, man. He broke that shit up, man. But then that was the beginning. So damn. Boom. That was the beginning. That was the first conflict. Okay, now I'm in the hood. And it's official. I ain't said nothing to the homies about none of this shit. I go, my cousin Don Q and Safety get in the fight with all the PBGs and all the Marvins over on Garth. Don Q called me. Man, get over here, man. We've been fighting these niggas. So I go over there. When I go over there, I ain't saying no names, but the Marvins, a couple Marvins tried to hit me in the back of the head with a crowbar and a quart bottle. And when I ducked, they hit Big Scott Dog in the back of the head, knock him out. He fall in my arms. So when he fall in my arms, I hand him to the homies because they get to crying and getting the crack, and I break because they finna try to get me. They ain't finished. They trying to get me. So I get away, and that's when the beef. After that, that's when the beef went ham, haywire, crazy. That's
all that happened.
That's how that happened. Just
but
like
that's
that.
All?
No, it was other stuff that happened. You had something where you got was fighting. You was fighting Gary Wawa on down the street, across the street.
The next day after that happened,
and Tracy T. Somebody Tracy Jackson socked you in the back of the head.
Yeah,
and you know what I'm saying. And with all that going on,
I was getting that Wawa, and Cuz dope fiend me, and after that I come home and tell my brother, yeah, it's on with us and them there. And really, that's
and then when he said, but this the icing on the cake though. Nigga, about that following week or two, nigga, Bam go to that party, nigga, and get killed, nigga. The homie Bam from schoolyard.
Yeah, like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, when that jumped off, then it was a wrap.
Once that
shit went off, you couldn't control, you couldn't stop nobody.
Everything went haywire.
Everything went haywire. It went haywire. It just went straight haywire. That right there kicked it off.
So I gotta ask you, Rusty, what's your boxing or martial arts background?
Oh shoot, I used to box at the Bancroft Kent Center in Toledo, Ohio, and that's where I got all mine from, keeping it 100. And then we had, coming up as a kid, we had certain people we looked up to, like Karate Man, and let me see, Karate Man. It was just a few people. Mad Rock was one of my. I loved him. I miss Mad Rock. Rest in peace. We got homies that had hands, man. It's just mainly I just grew up, man. I just always worked out, and the Bancroft Kent Center is where I really, in Toledo, Ohio. When I first got down there and started, because we was on one down there in '79. My homeboys down there, and all my partners, you think I'm lying to kick it. You ask them boys about Kilroy. They don't know they call me Mel Boy and Kilroy. The only people that call me Big Russ is my niggas from Toledo, that's from my set, my hood. But niggas before that, the old ones before before the hood got out there, got really crazy, you ask them boys about Kilroy and Mel Boy, they gonna say, oh yeah, cause Toledo was a part of this too, man. Don't get it twisted. It ain't just L.A. New York about part of this. Denver, Montebello, Colorado. It ain't just L.A. with us, man. The struggle. It went down, and as a result, we're a big old family, man. And we ain't just in L.A. We all over now. Shit, I salute and I send a shout out to all my homies, and I also, like I say, I want to send a shout out to all the brothers and sisters that died in the struggle too, man, because it was a struggle back then, man. I don't glorify none of that, but I do appreciate being a part of it, a part of a beautiful foundation, because the Geers is, I'm one of Geer's finest, and I still stand on that 10 toes down, I love my hood. I love my homies. I always will. I don't care how old I get.